Yeah, the previous episode, depending on when future Jordan uploads this video, wasn't that great. But hey, oh, why am I hitting that, by the way? We just need to hit quick play. Another Zektas run, but you know what? That's fine, considering the character we're gonna play. I would switch gods here, but I think I'll actually do 3 episodes with this character. So, who do I mean? I mean the character we did last time, but the one you're seeing now. And as we get into it, it's gonna be a normal World of Horror run. I think there are random item stats, but you know, for the sake of Zektas, let's just do this. So as we get into Zektas World of Horror custom character, keeping in mind that, yeah, we have 2 low stats, 19 knowledge, and I definitely need to take the occult shop this time. But light, Takshisan, second mystery, charisma, strength, and maybe a knowledge check, which would be much appreciated. Otherwise, you pretty much lose 3 stamina, 2 reason, 5 reason if you have a light check and don't have a light source, but that's for me to find out and you to deal with. So, funny enough, I think for this character, I want to take occult shop over, I want to remove police station. It is very good, you do get just good value out of it, but I want to see what happens if I do the occult shop. Because I personally like to take the nicotine rush buff, but that's a particularly me thing. Otherwise, you would probably go police station and occult shop. But since I didn't get to showcase it well last episode, I figure I might as well do it this episode, as we have festival, vigil, painting, murder, and raven. So 2 bad things. Thankfully, we run into a ghost encounter, and another funny thing is that we're just below 20 knowledge. On a non-harbinger difficulty, we'd have 20, but with 20 knowledge, you do a lot more damage. Well, I don't know if you can one-shot a ghost, but you can definitely 2-shot most ghosts. But I guess we'll find out. Vigil, Festival, Paint. Wow, 3 out-of-town mysteries. So I have to actually just take Murder or Raven now. I guess I'll take Murder. Again. Oh, we lose the downtown! Hospital, I forgot! Anywho, well. Well, that's, and then we don't even get to use the police station. Alright, well, if anything to pound into my brain, or anyone else's brain, it's that this, yeah, don't take Murderer first either, and the reason for that is because you don't have access to any shops. Now, funny enough, I might actually just look for a spell in the witch tree, but I think we just own up to our mistakes here. So this is going to be interesting. Now, the good news is we can run from a lot of enemies still. The bad news is the boss here is about to slap us really hard, so, yeah, well, let's find out. I didn't mean to groan like that, but it's just my pain. So, I hope there's a weapon somewhere, or we just, oof. I think, hopefully we lose stamina. That's one of the few moments we have to survive. Or a random spell. Okay, we get Mind Drain. That's gonna help us out immensely. If we even get to use it. But, let's find out. I think we get a steak knife from this too, but we have to get out of this mystery. Okay, so, in well, theoretically, we 3-turn this enemy. It is not guaranteed. So, we're just gonna do this. I don't want to use Mind Drain yet. Even though that sounds really, really crazy, I promise you it's not for the best. Unless we don't hit... Okay, so we're going to option select this. Okay, good. Because we use Mind Drain if we don't hit all 3 kicks there. And then we get a steak knife, but I don't want to use that because we want to go for a knowledge weapon. So, I guess immediately into Raven and immediately into 3 out-of-town mysteries, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Let's do this and find out. Okay, you heal reason, or maybe heal stamina 2 for the middle option, and then the left option is 10 experience, which I'll take because there are enemies in which you lose 4 doom and only get 8 experience. So, all things considered... Whereas opposed, if you rest for 3 doom, you can at least heal 2 stamina, 2 reason. That's kind of my logic behind it. But, let's go into Raven. Please tell me you have access to shops here. It is certainly possible, with the way that I'm playing with the Modpack mysteries, or this Modpack madness, is that... Oh, we can't choose to just... This character does make for a good escape run as well. Wait, we didn't have enough money. I'm going crazy. Well... I guess back in we go. We have the Doom to spare, but I would have rather not spend the Doom there. Basically, we also have a lot of resting and whatnot as well. That's something I didn't mention in the previous episode. But I don't need to, so... Anywho, let's do prepare. And off we go. Again, we could just trade... If we had run into out of funds, we could have, well, just done a thing. Again, we're just going to pick up allies here because we can. Ryoko will help out as well, but... Yeah, this character is very, 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 very strong, actually, now that I think about the other details, which is something I often forget. If you're watching the other game that I'm playing on this channel at the time of this recording, around the time that I'm recording this video, I say a lot of things that are wrong, basically. So, anywho, oh yeah, so we at least get some protection. But if we get flashbacks, we're still dead, by the way. Or we still lose the run. So let's cross our fingers and hope not to die, figuratively and literally. Yeah, that's nice. The Kendo helmet is nice, but I would like an extra point of dexterity to be even nicer. Now watch me get 3 dexterity and get 2 flashbacks. But the reason why this is good is because you can do this if your weapon... Again, keeping in mind that the minimum amount of time units that you can spend on an action is 10. Heck, we didn't even hit that with 19 knowledge, so... That being said, though, this is more than enough attacks that you need to pretty much one-shot most enemies. So... This isn't still guaranteed, but it sure is close. So, basically, I would say about 25% chance to not get out in one turn most of the time. Yes, give me more allies. Especially if we get Fame, which this character does have in their perk pack. Again, just to hit on a tangent really quickly as he rolled an 11 on a charisma check, is that... I forgot because I got flabbergasted by what I just saw. Yeah, I forgot. Never mind, moving on. Completely forgot. We have negative 20% Doom right now, but if we run into this Raven... Oh, wait, we're supposed to... No, we're supposed to be Craven. Okay, good. We want to run away, but haha, it was a trick. It was all to fight you. Now, still, though, we take 4 Doom. But this character has Doom to spare, because we are a superhero. We're not a superhero, but you get what I'm trying to say. We're an amazing character, lore-wise. But anywho, off we go. So, aside from the accident that was, hey, oopsie doopsie, I took a mystery in which I didn't have access to shops first, we do have Festival available, but we also have, funny enough, you know what, we're going to humor painting and fight the boss here. I'd rather fight, well, actually, I'd rather, no, that's not true, never mind, I forgot what I was going to say. Masafumi, help! Wow, I got so this is the second episode in a row in which I had Masafumi, and for that event, but that's not gonna be normal because most of the time you don't get to take 3 allies in the illegal den and feel good. You can feel good, and you could do something like that most of the time, but I would heavily advise against it as I roll a 10 on a stat strength, in which I don't have a lot of anyway. So, yeah, and even with 20 knowledge, we wouldn't have been able to, but that extra point of knowledge, as OBS freaks out in the background, will allow me to do faster attacks. Or this ghost will give me another ritual dagger. We actually one-shot this ghost, by the way. But we don't need a second ritual dagger unless they're somehow different, but that's not possible at the moment. So, off we go. We don't need the perception. The light, flashlight, oh my goodness, I cannot speak at the moment, is going to just stay in the inventory. But as for this other mask, you know what? Yeah, extra damage because we can fit pretty much 8 attacks is very, 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 very good. On top of the fact that if we get Fame and take Amy right after this mystery, it would be quite good. But then we get hallucinations, so... Not the worst thing, could have been flashbacks, could have died there immediately, but hey. I think about it's like 2 to 5% chance of getting flashbacks because out of all the curses in the game, you just take the 100% and move on. Anywho. Yeah. We can do 2 guaranteed. I might as well. I'm kind of lazy. Well, our accuracy is 60% anyway. And then we will just toss 1 ritual dagger. We can take 4 reason to the face. Basically, we're near guaranteed to get out in 2 turns, but 1 turn is also highly likely. It was possible to miss a bunch of those attacks. We just thankfully didn't, which... saved us a lot of reason, but funny enough, we could have taken more reason damage because now we're just overhealing reason at the moment, but shrug. Off we go. Into, well, so we don't need to take Festival. Funny enough, I guess we'll take Festival last. We're gonna fight this old man as well. As much as we shouldn't need to, or we don't need to. And if no other reason, then, yeah, I really like Toshiaki. This connects to Toshiaki because Toshiaki also has pretty much a negative 50 Doom, if you didn't realize. Also, we one-shot this ghost as well. We have a lot of damage increases, but the knowledge scaling, for those who don't know, essentially every 4 points of knowledge is an extra point of sever damage you do against the ghost. Period. That's the end of the sentence. Oh, that's right, we threw... You know, it's not often I get 2 ritual daggers, but I should have remembered it when it happened. So we ran into the inventory bug. For those who don't know, the reason why, and we might as well because nothing else is happening on screen at the moment, but the reason why we only have 3 inventory slots right now is because if you specifically at least throw an item of which you have equipped in your inventories so in this example, now we just have to fail this vigil, by the way. So for example, we had the ritual dagger equipped, but then we also had a second ritual dagger in our inventory. We threw the Ritual Dagger in our inventory at an enemy. And that causes some wonky stuff to happen. Basically, to paraphrase, because this is what I believe is happening, but essentially, the equation is equals you lose a spot of inventory. So the game thinks you still have 4 items, but you don't. What I believe is happening is that, for some reason, the game tries to read... the game reads that, hey, you still have a Ritual Dagger because maybe the items you have equipped and your inventory are part of the same... I guess they occupy the same space. And so the update of how many items you have max has to do with that total number. So when you throw the Ritual Dagger, it says, hey, you threw the Ritual Dagger, but I noticed you still have a Ritual Dagger in your inventory. So therefore, we're not going to update to the inventory count. Again, I don't know how the code actually is, but that's essentially parallel to what I believe is happening. Also, yeah, so for low power enemies, we pretty much just one-shot them. There aren't many enemies that can survive 8 attacks at 7 HP, and by that I mean there aren't many enemies that have more than 42 HP. Actually, I don't think any enemy has more than 42 HP, maybe 1 or 2, that you can actually fight properly. There are enemies that have a lot of HP that you're not supposed to be able to defeat, but you get what I'm trying to say at this point. Anywho, moving on. Funny enough, we're just going to investigate this village. We can't heal. We are topped off on stamina and reason. We're going to turn around and take our doom. And we're at 14% doom in our last mystery. We'll even take these friends because, hey, more strength is nice. Now, that's a bit much for my stamina. I'm not going to go that far. So, there we go. If we lose all of our stamina here, I will have died to my own hubris. But, anywho. Same thing here. We just talk. I mean, we can actually just do strong attacks instead. Sometimes I should have just been doing that. I don't know why I do this to myself, but 1, 2, 3, blah 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 blah. Probably can add 4. Yeah. So if I want to get more attacks, and if I want more accurate attacks, obviously I'd add prepare your attack or accuracy boost or the thing I forgot. Anywho, moving on. Keeping in mind we also have mind drain still, so we are certainly still good on that front. I'm looking at my cup of water and being very sad that I didn't update it. By the way, 2 hallucinations so far. Could have well been 2 flashbacks, but let's actually hold our breath for that because you never know. Oh my sweet goodness. I think I added copies of that event, that's why. Keep in mind there are still points here and there, as I remember that we're also on Zektast, that I basically made harder for myself. I think there's a certain boss in one of the custom mysteries I'm using right now that has more HP. That's one example. Other examples are I normally make copies of an event just so I can try to run into those events more. If I, say, add events that I have not run into that are newer that I've added to this series. That sounded like a lot, but just basically, I'm trying to see more events and enemies that I haven't seen before, and I want to make this series harder on myself, even though I've already been losing like 50% of the time anyway, but hey. So, as we run into this lighthouse, I don't think much should happen. Takshisan should just collapse in an instant, but we can just heal stamina here just to be sure. In fact, now that we have fame, we are super fast. So, yeah, off we go. We could have just taken the reason damage there. In fact, I probably should have, but as we just... Takshisan right here. Yeah, we'll move on. I think there is still some wonky stuff that happens because theoretically, I think there's still some weird math that happens. Because I swear that I've done... So, when you have like 99 in a stat, I think some weird things can happen with your time action. And that's because of negative numbers. Because even though I say 10 time units is the minimum amount, I think the game actually does a calculation and goes past. And for some reason, in some instances of its calculation, it does not constrict it to 10 time units. But without further ado, I'm not going to take up much more of your time. If you have any ideas or suggestions, feel free to say so. I will at least try and look and or respond to it. Otherwise, if you have any comments, questions, so on and so forth, let me know. Otherwise, I won't take up much more of your time. Thank you for watching. Bye!